Hello, I'm live. My name is Rob, and I'm from that channel Performance Check. I said earlier in a comment section that I was going to do this, so here I am. Hello. I hope we were all well. Oh, my thing's gone weird. I hope that's not going to be a problem. Isn't Facebook just the best? Like, it's I don't know, man. Like, it's a little bit glitchy from time to time. So hopefully I'll get comments. It's a bit of a lottery these days, isn't it? You go live and you're not sure if you're ever going to be able to see what anyone's saying or anything like that. So if you do drop in, please say hello just to let me know if it's working okay. Oh, I think it's fixed itself. That's really weird. Okay, well, anyway, my name's Rob. I'm from that channel Performance Check. And hopefully I can speak to you and you can speak to me and we can get this conversation going. So, quick update in terms of what I've been doing with games lately. There's a few games because of the busy period of the time that we're in at the moment. There's a few that have been put on hiatus, which is a bit of a shame, but, you know, life is life. What else? Oh, I spent yesterday evening. I had a really good time. I spoke to my good friend Shad, who plays Taxes in the Law Keepers, regarding his backstory, Taxes the Dragonborn. We were not only going into greater detail about the character's background. If you watch the game, the character has a form of amnesia, like he doesn't remember a lot about his past or anything. So we've been talking a lot about that, which is very exciting, and also developing the culture of the Dragonborn. A challenge for me because sorry, I'll stop doing that. I'm shaking the table. I'm making it go nuts. It was an interesting challenge because I like the Dragonborn to be rare, basically all draconic creatures to be rare, because I think there's something to be treasured. So making them like an available player character, I don't know. But I've spoken about that before. But anyway, in any event, I had a really good time talking to Chad about it. We got some really cool ideas for the next session, which is going to be early January. Hopefully, we're sort of hashing out the details at the moment. What else? Got Vampire on the 19th. That's going to be pretty cool. The continuation of that particular game. And that's it in terms of updates. I generally do this just to give the stream time to like appear in people's feeds or whatever, but I'm just going to go for it because I have a few things to say about a topic that came up. So I saw Sam de Mercurio answered this question as well. And well, it wasn't really so much a question, just a topic of discussion. And I believe it was posted by Marquise, who essentially put out this this status saying about, he described it as ADHD for campaigns. Now, obviously, we all know it's not actual ADHD, but like that's, I guess, the label that it's been given. I would just say it is a glutton for ideas, I think. And anyway, how you can get quickly bored of certain ideas that you're first of all really enthusiastic about. You want to run a game, and then it either just turns out to be a one shot, or it fizzles out, or you lose enthusiasm for it, or whatever. Which I think is a perfectly normal thing. I think that's 100% a normal thing. But I have a few things to talk about with it because I think it's an interesting issue. And it's one that I don't think is entirely a bad thing. So here we go. I've made a few notes in a Google document. I don't generally make notes for my live streams, but maybe this will make my ramblings a bit more coherent. We shall see. So, like I say, I don't think it's entirely a bad thing. I think it's just something that needs to be managed. If we're using Marquise as an example, I'm sure all of you are aware of Marquise. He is very prolific in terms of his posts. I don't think a single week goes by without me reading something that he's posted that is incredibly interesting, intriguing. It is a staple of the community that we know that Marquise is going to drop a bomb at some point and is going to be contributing to the community with new ideas and new concepts for us to discuss. Now, whether that be about different races, different campaign settings, different ideas he's had for campaigns or one-shots, it's all the time. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I mean, I get that the fact that you're having lots and lots of ideas, I suppose, could give you some kind of choice paralysis in terms of, which one do you go for? Which one do you think can serve you in terms of enjoying the hobby or whatever? But I think there is something else to consider in all of this. And I think it extends outside of role-playing games. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to go into this too much because obviously we're here to talk about role-playing games. But just bear with me for a second. In the age that we're living in at the moment, and I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of this because it's affected you, but I think for a particular generation in particular, the attention span of our kind as human beings has rapidly decreased. I think our attention span, because we're now so used to an ease of access of information and new ideas and new technologies and new forms of entertainment, I think we are just very much used to there just being this huge plethora of different things before us. And because of that, we're absorbing things quicker. So because of that, when we do come out with ideas, I think it is fair to say that we are going through our ideas as quickly as some of the content and some of the things that are influencing us is coming out. You know what I mean? Like, say, for instance, you're a Marvel fan, okay? You like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever, and you're really, really pumped. You're really, really pumped to see Thor Ragnarok, for instance. And then you see it, and then that's it. Like, you've seen it. That's it. Now, that's part of your, being. You now have memories of seeing that film. You enjoyed that film. And now you're thinking about the next one. You're thinking about Infinity War. The trailer drops. Oh, it's the Infinity War trailer. Now I'm going to be looking forward to this. Like, it's digested. And I don't know. I think that might be somewhat in part of it. Now, the only thing is, to bring it back, kicking and screaming to role-playing games, is that if you want to make your ideas into a game, then that's absolutely fine. But I don't know. I think sometimes some of that energy can be used in different ways. I know I saw Tim post something in that same thread about maybe all of these ideas aren't for games, which I think is a really good point. Obviously, not entirely helpful because we're here to talk about role-playing games. But I think that all of this energy, all of those ideas that you're having is nothing but a good thing. I don't think there's anything negative about it whatsoever. It's just being able to manage it. And I think that's the trouble, which is what I think we should talk about. That's what I want to talk about anyway. And maybe people have different opinions, which is, totally cool. But that's the way I see it in terms of why we're getting so many ideas and why people, might feel almost overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that they want. Like, I know that sounds really arrogant. It's like, because I don't think I'm like that personally. Like, I get like a few ideas that I really like to develop and I stick with. I do have other ideas for games. Like, I do get the thing, oh, that would be a good game sometimes. But I feel that when I run stuff, I'm satisfied with what I'm running at the time. I don't want to leap into something else. That isn't true all of the time, I suppose, because like I thought, I should probably run Vampire the Masquerade sometimes. And then I started running Vampire the Masquerade. But there have been a lot of times when I haven't. Like, I thought of a campaign, which I'm still intending to do, sort of a drop-in, drop-out campaign, called Songbirds, which is about bards in the Nine Kingdoms, but that hasn't gone anywhere. And the reason it hasn't gone anywhere is because I haven't made it go anywhere. Admittedly, I've been pretty busy, and we all lead really busy lives. You obviously got to remember that you're running these things in addition to living your life and doing other things. But yeah, like I think it's just a natural thing. It doesn't mean that you can't use it in the future, though. This is the thing. You have those ideas, they're not going anywhere, If you type in Marquis Hartis, and I'm using Marquis as a suggestion, into the search thing of Absolute Tabletop, you will then see all of the posts that Marquis has put, and Marquis will be able to do this himself. You'll be able to see all of the information, all the writing that he's ever done in Absolute Tabletop group, and all those ideas are there. They're not going anywhere. Like, you can use those whenever you want. But again, I digress because we're talking about actually turning those things into games. So back to games. I think another thing that affects, turning an idea into an actual game and then sticking with that game, I think that some of the conditions involved in that are beyond the control of the person who wants to run the game. I think the primary condition for that is having the right players. I think it is, I don't know, like I think it's basically very, very important to ensure that you have the right people in your game. I think if you don't, then it will fizzle out and it won't work because you don't know if you're going to gel with those people. And that's not to say that, they're good people, bad people. Like that doesn't even come into it. It's more of do your instincts match those that you're running with or whatever. For instance, if I was running Lawkeepers and I had different people, I mean, I don't know for certain, but I'm quite confident it wouldn't still be running like if it would with different players. And like I guess that's luck. Which is what I mean. There's so many different conditions to say whether the idea is going to be, something that you stick with. I don't know. That's just one thought of mine anyway. Like, I think you need to ensure that you have the right people who are invested in the idea along with you. But my main point, I suppose, I want to make about this whole thing is, and I want to open this up because I want to get this right, because this is another reason why I wanted to make notes, because I wanted to stay on target with this particular video. I don't want to go on for ages. But essentially, one, I think you need good players. You need the right players for you to run a game with. The reason you run the games, I think, is obviously you want to have a good time and you want to explore different ideas in role-playing games and different storytelling or whatever. But like, it has to have some kind of impact with the people who are, enjoying the game with you. And that's not to say that, a one shot hasn't had the right impact on players, but maybe what you gave to your players made an impact on them, but then it didn't. Their response didn't then make an impact back to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, you give them something and then they give you something back, and it's like, okay, I didn't really like that, or I didn't enjoy what happened in that game or whatever. Like, it's fine, Everyone has different tastes and everyone has different instincts about these things. So yeah, finding the right mold, I guess, is one thing, I suppose. But I guess, and this is my main point, I suppose, that I'll make about this say problem. It's not a problem, but this issue, this topic, then, is that I don't think campaigns was the thing that was brought up predominantly about this, but I don't think campaigns are ever made from completed ideas. I don't think a campaign is made from a completed world either. I think I think it's the other way around. I mean, the way that I run games, I like my campaign to develop the world and to give me the ideas. Like, that's where I get my ideas from the game from, is what happened in the previous game. And my players sort of telling me what they want. Like, this is why you have a session 0. You don't ask your players, what do you want in this game, then to completely ignore it. Like, and by the way, I'm not saying that anyone is doing this. I'm just saying that I think, I don't know, I think a fully formed idea is not what you need to run a campaign. I think what you need is the right people to give stuff back to you when you start running that game, to then inspire you back, to give you ideas into how you're going to continue the campaign. I mean, that's my personal opinion. Like, I think the story will write itself if you lay down the right pieces. You know what I mean? I don't, to be honest with you, like, I think if Marquis is the one that posted it, so I'm obviously using him as an example. But Marquis, like, has so many amazing ideas. I don't know whether and I suppose he'll probably watch this at some point. Maybe I'll tag him in it so he knows. But like everything that he posts is really good. Do you know what I mean? Like it's always really, really interesting. Like I'm a big fan of what he writes, and it's often very intelligent. It's very well researched in terms of like I know he's a really big fan of Mesoamerican stuff, and I know that is something that he knows an awful lot about, has done an awful lot of research about, and that informs his writing and it informs the ideas for his games and stuff, which I think is unbelievable. It's not a way that I work. You know, I think of the way I do things. I think of a vague idea that I want, and then I sort of let the snow sort of start rolling down the hill and let it pick up more as it goes down. I know that's sort of a labored analogy, but you know what I mean? Like, it's tricky. It's tricky because everyone's different, aren't they? Everyone's different. Everyone's special. No, obviously everyone is different. I don't know. Like, I would like to hear other people's opinions on this. Like I said, I listened to Sam's video, which I enjoyed, talking about this. I don't know. Like, what have you guys found this? Like, which ideas work? Because I don't know. I think if you go off the idea, then maybe if you're bored of the idea, then you're bored of it. Like, you can't help that. My suggestion would be is just to allow it to make the challenges for you, I suppose. Like allow each session. Like when I approach a game, I'm like, what I want something cool to happen. I want there to be something enjoyable and something like an issue to deal with, or like a challenge for the players to overcome. Like that's how I think of it. I think what could it be, and then how can it tie into what we've already done and stuff, and you know, does it make sense? Like an important thing to me is sort of like an internal logic. It doesn't have to be a logic that fits with the real world, but it has to fit with the world that you're running a game in, you know? So you have like a continuity, like you have sort of a level that, you know, you can experience it all on. I don't know. I've got one comment from Jeff. Says, "Howdy, Rob. Hey, man, how's it going?" I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe people just aren't talking to me, which is fine. I understand completely. But for those of you watching after, then I would be keen to hear how other people would combat this. I don't know, because I mean, some people would say, well, this is there's a factor of discipline involved with this, but I don't think that's entirely the case. I think if you are 100% sold on the idea, you will run with the idea, you know? And I think it's about leaving enough room for when you do feel like, oh, this is getting a little bit old now. Like I've thought about this enough. If you leave yourself enough room to be able to explore different areas of storytelling or different areas of the world or whatever you want to call it, or try out different things in the game, then yeah, I think that's great.